little baby, I can say that I was crazy for this day. So every day that's in between it, every second, every minute, every hour that I'm in, it's just another minute standing between me and Halloween. You could make the argument that valuable time is spent in dreaming of a pumpkin or the sound of falling leaves, but let me paint thee a small picture of a happy little kid who's got a paper bag that's full of candy, and that kid is me. Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen, I'm the Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen. Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen, I'm the Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen. Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen, I'm the Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen. Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen, I'm the Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen. So I'm packing the expansion from a Hallow Kingdom mansion, decking out the haunted walls and halls, we do the monster mansion with the brooms and nets and the feral cats sitting on their posts, howling at the bats, going flap, 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 while the bones relax in the coffins where they're napping. Kisses for the Hallow Queen, the mistress of the twilight. Strike a match and light that candle burning up to midnight. If the carriage turns into a pumpkin, we'll be alright. Some cauldron, illas, goblins, whales, and spirits take their flight. Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen, I'm the Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen. Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen, I'm the Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen. Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen, I'm the Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen. Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen, I'm the Halloween, I'm the Halloween queen. What's your favorite holiday, kids? Is it Christmas? How about Valentine's Day? How about a little love for Halloween? That's what I thought. Halloween all day.
politics, culture ain't my thing. I just wanna stand, wash it off in the rain. Make me go blind. You're making me blind. You're making me blind. You're making me blind. You'll make me go blind. You're making me blind. You're making me blind. So you're tangled up in all of me, there's nothing more to say. It makes me laugh that you think you could play me this way. You can ask me no more questions and I'll tell you no more lies. The boys are in the bathroom and they're losing their minds. You go blind. You make me 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 go blind. You're making me blind. You're making me blind. My little star, I've realized there's not another human in this world I get high on. But you, I can cry on. But you, my little star, I've realized there's not another human in this world I get high on. But you, I rely on. But you, everybody knows you're a fine man. Drink you like a drug, yeah, my body feels good. And I walk through the streets with my head in the clouds. My little star, I've realized there's not another human in the world I get high on. But you, I rely on. But you, everybody knows you're a fine man. Everybody knows you're a fine And my pain, it is deeper now. Ain't it funny how those tears, they never stop flowing? And yet my body keeps going. Oh, I need a place to lay my head. I sing not because I feel mad or tragic, it's just a habit that happens. And I sing not because I feel old, I'm older, I've turned a shoulder. I can't believe, take it to the grave, what you said to me, what I didn't say. Is this happening? Why the sudden change? Then my world has to stop. And my pain, it is deeper now. Ain't it funny how those tears, they never stop flowing? And yet my body keeps going. Oh, I need a place to lay my head. Can you help me now? Help me figure out how life just runs lines right through me. And all the people that knew me, oh, they smile and turn their eyes away from the wreck of me, disrespecting me, yeah. Said I feel like I'm losing control of what's left of me, disrespecting me, yeah. Said I feel like I'm losing control. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm losing control of what's left of me, disrespecting me, yeah. Said I feel like I'm losing control of what's left of me, disrespecting me, yeah. Said I feel like I'm losing and my pain, it is deeper now. Ain't it funny how those tears, they never stop flowing, and yet my body keeps going. Oh, I need a place to lay my head.
And what a lovely way to begin. Hi, everybody. My name is Plankenhorn, and this is, of course, 20 Question Tuesdays. I'm in a different place. As you can see, I'm in Austin, Texas, at my friend Gabriel Rhodes's studio. This is Lampwick Studios, and I think he needs just a few more guitars. I could be wrong. Maybe if we count the ones that are beneath my head, maybe if we add that uke back there, then we know there's enough. It's been really nice being in Austin for a few gigs, and I got to do a couple of really, really, really great openers for the incredible Carolyn Wonderland, friend of the show, in Houston and Dallas, and I flew down for that, and it's just been an amazing weekend. Then we did a Stephen Bruton tribute over at the Saxon Pub, and I will be flying all the way back behind the maple curtain to Canada tomorrow morning. Boy, it's great coming home. It's kind of wild being a man of two countries, but it's working. It's working again. A lot more people are getting out there and getting going. Vaccines are working. People are taking care of each other the way they should, treating each other like decent human beings. It's not that hard of a concept. Look out for your fellow human. I just for those of you who are uninitiated, 20 Question Tuesdays started early on during the lockdown in 2020. I flipped on my camera one day on one of the socials, and I just started taking questions. It turned into a workshop. I had questions coming from guitar players and songwriters and booking agents and people who were just fans of music who were interested in all sorts of things. And I started doing it every week. Shortly after that, Sheila Steele from Austin Music TV said, "Hey, would you like to put this on our cable access channel?" Even though I was up in Vancouver Island, I said, "Sure, that sounds great." I got one of those cool restreamy kind of apps so I could go to multiple platforms. Hence, now we are on Austin Music TV on cable channel 16 in Austin, and I think it's 99 if you're on ATT Uverse. And as well, we're on AustinCityJams.com. If you're not somebody who likes socials or doesn't dig the cable TV thing, you can go there. And then, of course, I'm on my Facebook and my Twitch and my YouTube pages. I think I pretty much did all my housekeeping, except I will say this just in shameless self-promotion, my patreon.com, we're moving the show off until it's going to be at a better time. Now that we're not in the lockdown, next month, we're going to move the show to be a Patreon only thing. So the only place you're going to be able to catch this show and the archives is on my Patreon starting in December. We have 2 more shows. We have Jane Ellen Bryant next week and Lisa Morales right after that. And so it's like just an incredible month of women. Didn't plan it, but it's just awesome. That's the way it worked out this month. And so a whole bunch of new levels of engagement for the music that I put out every single month as well. So please check that out. If you want to hear, find out where I'm gigging, there's the website. If you want to find out anything about my music, there's the link that you can get to all that kind of stuff. And I'll be back in early December to do a couple of private parties and a few other gigs here in Texas. Otherwise, I'll be playing up on Vancouver Island and flying out tomorrow. So without further ado, I would love to invite to the show Violet Lea. How are you?
Hi.
Good, thank you for having me. I went with orange. I kind of matched.
I didn't realize you had done that on purpose.
Oh yeah, I did the orange thing. Yeah, I like to change the color for whoever's on and kind of pick a different
that is so cool
theme. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it just so happens that orange is my favorite color.
Is it really? Just in general?
I mean, yeah. It's not my favorite color to wear, but it's my favorite color to look at. So everything that I have is orange. My chair is orange. Like all of my
chair is orange. Your Christmas lights look like a good orange color.
Those are Halloween. That's a Halloween tree, and the Halloween tree stays up all through Christmas. I just put a Santa hat on it, but yeah, that's my little Halloween house, as you can see behind me.
So no one has asked this question. I usually only save one question for myself at the end, but I'm going to go ahead right now and say, I got to ask you about the whole crocheting thing, because people don't know that you crocheted these things. This is like not just a hobby. Like I would go so far as to, because I follow your socials and stuff. You're kind of it's bordering on like art thing, because it's like it's pretty creative and it's clothing, but it's other stuff. And have you also done like I remember being like, man, I really, really wanted one of those. It almost looked like a crochet painting.
Yeah. I started doing paintings over quarantine when we were doing our live stream, and we had to find auction items to make for fans and friends and stuff. And so I just started coming up with my own technique on how to turn paintings into crochet, just to make it different and interesting.
So cool.
And yeah, I feel like crochet, people think, when they think crochet, they think like your typical like granny square blanket that you see on the back of every sofa and every sitcom. And there's just so much more you can do with it than that. So I'm a little bit obsessed with it.
Well, I mean, obviously there's so much you can do. I mean, besides your toque, sorry, I say Canadian terms every once in a while now. Your toque and your what would you say, shawl kind of thing right there?
I think it's like a little blazer. Yeah,
now,
sorry,
it's a little bit fuzzy where I'm at, but if you get right in close, you notice it's actually cats.
Yes, these are it's like rows of cats. Isn't that cool?
It's ridiculously cool. I am jealous of people who do things that do music so well that do other things, because I'm kind of a one-trick pony. And
Well, if it wasn't so time consuming, I would consider like making an Etsy shop, but I don't like to do the same projects over and over again. Do you remember when the Bernie dolls were really popular?
I
The little
do.
crocheted Bernie dolls? My dumbass mistakenly went ahead and said, "Okay, I'll take some commissions." And after the ninth doll and 100 hours, I was like, "I'm never doing commission-based work ever again, ever again."
Because
So
because of the time consuming factor, or because
it just gets boring. I don't like making the same thing over and over again. I like to change it. I like to make it something different every time. So most of the time when I make things, it's I make it once and then I never make it again,
you
usually,
see, that
unless
should
it's
be
like a
why you can charge way, way more. You should be able
mhm.
to charge in a perfect world. You should be able to charge more because they are unique items. I'm marketing for you
Yeah.
here right now. Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. I mean, honestly, it's absolutely true. There's an artist that my wife found online who does portraits on white T-shirts with a Sharpie, and they are absolutely incredible. And she does them basically to support her art career. And it's not something that she does.
Mhm.
It's like, this is like the passion of my life, but she just kind of stumbled into something that she's brilliant at on the side. And I was
Yeah.
so happy to support her because I love her art too. That there's a famous gardener from England named Monty Don, who's this TV personality there that my wife loves, and I had her do a big shirt with a giant Monty Don face on it. And the only reason I'm going through all this is because the fact that they're one of a kind and unique makes them a lot more pricey.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So you
sure.
never know. It might be worth your while if you're like, yeah, I'll do that for $1 million.
Yeah, I'm one that I've thought about because I've made some pretty incredible like full length like jackets and things like that that I just thought that I would wear all the time and I don't. So I've considered maybe putting those up on Etsy or something, but well, I don't know. It's also near and dear to my heart there. So I don't know. We'll see.
Sometimes you don't want to give away that art. I get it.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
friends that are that way too. We have some questions to get to, and we would love some more questions if anybody wants to put them in the comments here and the chat.
Okay.
We see it as it's
Well,
going along. But I'm going to start with kind of like an easy one, but it also goes into some stuff that you're doing outside of the project. Um, so we know we're going to talk about Halloween because your new EP is Halloween. But the first question I have is someone was asking about recording, because right now your other project, one of your other projects, Madam Radar, is recording a new album. You're at the finishing school with Gordy Quist from Band of Heathens. A lot of people don't
mhm.
know the finishing school was the late George Reef's house/studio. And he had done some stuff, with the Band of Heathens, and they kind of took it over when, posthumously, and now tons of records get made at his old place. Now, have you guys recorded there before with him? I think
Yes, we
so.
were yes. Yeah, we recorded our last album with him, Madam Radar,
Yeah,
and that was a lot of fun.
yeah.
And we had Steve Christensen as our engineer, and we used him again this time, Mixing and Cats on Instagram. And he's wonderful, and the two of them together are just a lot of fun, and we have a blast.
So do you think, kind of answering the question regarding, I mean, it's kind of like, what's it like? I mean, the first thing you say is, yeah, it's a lot of fun. But I guess just to delve into it a little bit more, whether it's bringing the George Reeve kind of aesthetic to the recording, or, bringing some of the stuff that Gordy does in his own music, what's the appeal of having Gordy as a producer? Why him, and what's
Well,
kind of just something to answer that person's question and just delve in a little more.
okay. First, I'm going to take a little sip of whiskey because I was nervous about looking or sounding really dumb
No way.
during this interview.
You're
Um,
always going to look cooler than me. It's like, I think if whoever I have on, you just, the bar is low. You're going to be fine. If you got it next to me, then you're going to be fantastic.
well, I thought about it, and then I saw that it was already afternoon, so I was like, it's okay if I
Of course
have a
it's
little bit of
okay.
Tullamore. It's be fine. I
Of
don't
course it's
have
okay.
anything So Gordy, I think what's really cool about him is we kind of look at our band as they're the little sister band of the Band of Heathens, as in like we have multiple singers and kind of the same vibe going on. And well, he just has such a really great approach to looking at a song and dissecting it. And like he's not afraid to come up with ideas that you would have never thought to come up with, you know, like changing chords here or like, you know, rearranging parts of a song. And I really like that he's, you know, he was actually part of the reason why we changed our name. We were the Texas KGB. And
Right.
he, you know, he came forth with the idea of like maybe, you know, changing it to something that fit the band that was a better fit. And so he's an idea man. He's got a lot of great ideas, and on top of that, he's a, you know, incredible musician and
Oh yeah.
singer and a songwriter. And so like he's really good about like coming up with hooks or, you know, hearing certain instrumentations of things here and there. So I hope that was a good answer.
No, it absolutely is. And it also reminds me, everybody knows I'm a shameless name dropper, and I don't care. And so I'm out on the road this week with Carolyn Wonderland, and I'm telling her about I'm speaking to her new album and how she has so many styles, but she kind of jumps around really great. And how I hear lots of Texas influences, like, wow, this sounds like Casper Rawls, and wow, this sounds a little bit like something that, you know, would be a little bit more psychedelic and this and this and that, but it all seems to fit. And she completely contributed to that kind of thing that you're talking about with her producer, Dave Alvin. And she said, oh, that was totally Dave, because they'd have a song ready and he'd say, okay, for the outro to this song, we're going to just do completely different set of chords. And you're just going to jam on A and G and just build it, you know? And she'd be like, okay, you know, and then they would try it. And then all of a sudden they'd be like, okay, that's great. Or they'd try it. It didn't work and whatnot. But the same kind of thing you're talking about. And I think that kind of openness from the band, and then that kind of like creative impulse, that kind of teaches people what producers do sometimes. Because a lot of people say, what does a producer do? That's part of what they do.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, honestly. I really didn't know a whole lot about it before, you know, actually doing an album professionally like that. But I think one of my favorite moments in the studio this most recent time was there's one song where we all start by playing the same little riff, da da, like this little walk up into the one.
Right.
And we all do it together. It's like bum 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 into, and then he stops us and he gets in our headphones. He goes, I don't like everybody playing that riff together. It's too cute.
It's too cute.
He's like, it's too cute. And so he's just like, you two do something else there. And just like little things like that, because we would have never, it's like, okay.
It's funny how a producer kind of has to have a really good, for lack of a better way to put it, like a bedside manner. Like they have to know how to like keep you in a super, super comfortable space. And, you know, whether it's me working with a producer or me, you know, producing a modest thing, something that I'm working on, I think it's really important to be able to get people to laugh and to be able, it's like you take the craft seriously, but maybe not take yourself so seriously when you're at it. And it sounds like that's part of what you're talking about too. Yeah,
it's pretty great.
Right on. So. Okay, so let's go back a little bit towards you, because you know I played just a little bit of the Halloween music from the EP. Talk to us a little bit about the new EP, and also I'm going to put up some stuff just so people can find out where to get it. This is your link tree right here, and everybody, I'm going to copy this too so that people can find the Bandcamp and all that. The songs from the Pumpkin Patch.
Yeah,
I'm gonna imagine you were always a Halloween gal, like it says in the song, huh?
Yeah, I guess my obsession started when I was very young. I think a part of it was I scared really easily. Like I was terrified of everything. Anything scary was terrifying to me and would give me nightmares forever. And I'll never forget, my mom brought home this little witch, and I'll never forget, it like just stood on this little stand, and you pushed a button and its eyes glowed red and it would swivel left and right.
That sounds creepy enough, music would especially for a kid.
Yeah, and music would come out of it, and it was like over and over again. And I was so terrified of that thing that I wouldn't even like go back into the back room where it was. And finally one day I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna let this dumb little doll scare me. And so I went back there and I stood there and I pushed the button and I like stood there like for, a good 2 or 3 minutes just staring that thing down, like, you don't scare me anymore. And then something just switched, like something about the appeal of a little bit creepy. Um, and then I also just being obsessed with music. I was the kid in music class that had all the books memorized. Like I didn't even have to open the book on my lap and I would just sit there and sing all the songs from memory. And all my favorite songs were always in a minor key. And there was one
Oh,
song called There Was an Old Witch. And I still remember that song backwards and forwards, but something about that song got me obsessed. Just the colors on the page and the imagery and the words about the witch and the toad and everything. And it just kind of became like my spirit song. And
there was an old witch. Could you tell us a little of the story of the song? You said it's a witch and a
yeah,
toad.
yeah, it's literally like there once was a witch, believe it if you can. She hopped on the window and then she ran, she ran helter skelter with her toes in the air, corn stalks flying from the witch's hair. And then it just goes through this whole little story about this witch and
That's kind
her
of
cat
awesome.
and the broomstick. Yeah, and it was the first Halloween song that I had ever heard. Like Christmas songs are a dime a dozen, right? But that
Absolutely.
song, it was just the coolest song in the book, and something about fall and the colors of fall. And growing up in Texas where it's just hot all the time, and as soon as the leaves start to turn, and then all the fun holidays are about to come. So it starts with Halloween, and then you get Thanksgiving, and then you get those 2 weeks off in Christmas. So it's just the beginning of all the fun things,
I love
before
that.
everything goes back to boring. So yeah, so it's always been the holiday that I look forward to the most, so much that usually in around August, I start decorating. The whole apartment becomes a Halloween house, and
Well,
it stays that way until Christmas.
at some point we should definitely take a look at the house, by the way, because there's a lot that went into that house, kind of
Yeah, yeah.
with
You can
band and
see it
with
behind me
everybody.
there.
So we'll talk about that for
Yeah.
sure as well. That was a thing for me too, because I swear 2 managers ago, somebody was like, "You got to do a Christmas show," and I was like, "Yeah, it's not really my thing." And they're like, "Yeah, but you'll cash in." And I said, I didn't like Christmas a lot when I was a little kid. I like it a lot now because my
Mhm.
wife's family is strangely functional. It's very odd how
Mhm.
functional that family is. It weirded me out. My first couple of
Mhm.
Christmases, I was like, "Why is there nobody fighting or drunk?"
Yeah, they
But
like
anyway,
make cookies and stuff.
yeah, it was weird, and now I really enjoy
Yeah.
it, right? But I was
Mhm.
always a Halloween guy too, and so I said, "Well, I can't do that, but I'll do a Halloween show." And so, for like 4 years in a row, I was able to do the Dr. Plankenstein show, which you guys took part in, and was always
Mhm.
super, super wonderful. It was so sad I wasn't able to do it this year, but maybe next year.
Well, I have some songs that if I can bring
Yes,
to
you
it if you
do.
need them.
You did.
Ah,
The last time we did it. You guys did 2 songs. I can't remember what Kelly did, but I
mhm.
know you did "Zombie." Remember?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
killed it.
I thank you. Yeah, that song, I have to just brag a little bit. Like, if you're
Please.
gonna cover that song, you need to be able to do the vocal breaks that she does. And if you can't, don't sing it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm gonna
That's
go
all
ahead and
right.
make some enemies here right now. But like, I
Oh,
know
I
that
doubt it.
song is like covered a lot, but if you're gonna cover it right. Um, yeah, I totally look like a prick. And I
No,
think Kelly did
not
Black
at all.
Magic Woman,
Oh,
if
that's
I remember.
right. That's right. That's right.
Hmm.
Yep, 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 yep. One of the first things I did was, oh, that's really cool. Thank you, Ray. And then Ray says, one of the first things I did when I moved to Texas was seeing your Halloween show, and I was amazed. It's an amazing
Aw.
bunch of people. And it's not about me. It's about all those people coming together and just being spooky and being a bunch of big kids. It was always at the
Hmm.
right time, too. It was like, it was late enough that if you were older, it was the end of your Halloween. And if you were younger, it was the beginning of your Halloween. You know,
Yeah.
for those who wanted to go party later, we were done by like 10,
Hmm.
and we'd have like 25 artists or something insane like that every year. Kim says, I can attest that the children love this Halloween EP. Speaking about songs from the pumpkin patch, she can't get the songs out of her head. She's 5. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I will say that that was something that I really wanted to do, was make this album something that both adults and children can enjoy. That it's not going to scare children, but adults aren't going to hate it because it's not Baby Shark. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
catchy enough that I think that it can appeal to all age groups. So
And it is very
it
easy to
is
hate. It's very
children.
easy to hate Baby Shark.
Hmm.
It is.
Hmm.
I don't hate a lot of
So when I
music.
say it's yeah, so when I say it's children friendly, it's not like that kind of children, like songs. Like something we can all enjoy, I hope.
Absolutely. There's Kelly right there. Hello, Kelly from the studio.
Oh
We're
yeah,
in.
they are in the studio right now. I'm gonna be heading over there after this our interview.
Nice. Nice. I heard a great story from a studio last night. I'm just going to share it because it's hilarious. Gabriel Rhodes said he was working with somebody who was working with Dylan in the studio, and somebody was laying down an overdub, and Dylan walked in the room and said, "Hey, I want to try me one of them overdubs." And I just find it so hilarious that he had like never done one. It was just like it blew his mind. Like he was just like,
Yeah.
I want to try me one of them overdubs. Not to mention the fact that for some reason all of a sudden Bob Dylan had a southern accent. I don't know. Maybe it was
Oh, that's so funny.
during that period. Yeah, I love hearing stories like that. Our friend Kate Howard, and Kelly, I'm definitely going to use that when I'm in the studio. The next time somebody's putting something, I'm saying, hey, I want to do me one of them overdubs. Kate Howard, our Austin word woman, the punstress. She brings some really, really, really great questions. This one's pretty broad, and might have to have you talk a little bit about your experiences over there. But she wants to know, what do you miss most about Korea? And that's going to probably go a lot of ways. It's probably not an easy one-word answer.
Well, I lived in Korea for 7 years, and I lived in a big city, Busan. It's about 4 million people, and it's a beautiful city. It's 5 beaches, just really stunning, like skyline. And I think there are a few things that I miss. Maybe possibly what I miss the most is not having to have a car. It is so easy and cheap and safe and affordable to travel by taxi, subway, train, and walking. I walked more than I ever did. I got just because you walk everywhere. You don't have like an HEB. When you go grocery shopping, you have to go get your meat from the meat lady and your veggies from the veggie lady. And like, it's all very organic, and you take everything home. You have to wash the cow shit off of it. You know what I mean? Like it's, even living in the big city, and there are places that you can go that are like HEBs and whatever, but I mean, who wants to do that when you've got fresh and local? Yeah. So I do miss the ease of transportation. I definitely miss the food. I miss having authentic, cheap, like $5 bulgogi at 2:00 in the morning, or any kind of hot soup. Their soup is incredible. And of course I miss my friends. I had a family there, still do there, and so I guess I miss being an expat. I miss living in another person's country is really humbling, and it's really fun because you get to meet so many people from all over the world that are experiencing the same things as you are. And I feel like there's something to be said about having to go through 2 steps to do everything, that it makes it a little harder because of the language barrier. And there's something about that keeps you on your toes. There's coming back here and being able to go to a Starbucks and say, I want a latte with coconut milk in it, and please don't put any, and I'd just be able to tell them exactly what I want, was amazing, but also kind of like, but that wasn't as fun, so.
Yeah. And having the patience to have somebody help you in another place, or be patient enough to listen to you in what is not their language, which is amazing wherever we go. Did you find that because the first thing that Americans sort of in the ugly American sense say is, well, did most people speak English over there? And it's kind of like, I don't even want to answer them when they ask this question, because I'm like, the answer is yes. In most places that I travel, there's a lot of it, but there's a big part of me that says, yeah, but it shouldn't be there that way, and we should really, really just make an effort. To try and bridge the gap a little bit, and know that you are in someone else's land, right? When you were there, did you feel like there was enough of a crew, or?
And Seoul is, obviously the capital and the biggest city, and so there's a lot of English speakers in Seoul. But where we were in Busan's more like a San Francisco of, and there wasn't a lot of English at the time. And I mean, there's, depending on where you went, but like really, no English on menus, no English on signs. It was pretty crazy. I felt so helpless that like I wanted to go home. Like I was so scared because I felt so trapped, and all I had at the time was my boyfriend. And I just felt lonely and like just in this bubble. Funny story. I had a long, exhausting day at my school there that I was teaching at, and I went home, and he wasn't home yet. He had the key to our apartment, and so I just walked into this restaurant slash bar pub, and I was just at my wits' end, regretting my decision, wanting to go back home. And I sit down at this table, and this ajima, we call them, the older Korean lady, she comes over, she's speaking to me in Korean, and she's showing me the menu. Nothing's in English. So I just pointed at the cheapest thing on the menu. And I was just like, that. And she's like, no, 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 no. She's like, grabbing it. She's like, you don't want that. And I'm like, so frustrated. This, like, don't tell me what I want. Just, I want this. And so she's like, okay. She comes back 5 minutes later, and it's a bowl of steamed, what's called bondegi, which is like silkworms. And it smelled like socks. And it's like a street food there that they love, but she knew that I wasn't going to want that.
Yeah,
and
she
I
was
was
trying
just like,
to
no,
help.
I'm going to eat this. So I was so stubborn that as soon as she left, I found like a plastic bag, like of something else I had in my purse, and I just dumped it all in there and like shut it in my purse so that she thought that I ate it, because I just didn't have I was too prideful for her to have been right about that decision. But it's things like that. And my Korean did improve a lot over the course, but it's still nowhere near good or acceptable. So
I do think, I mean, without completely immersing, it's only going to get so much better, you know? I mean, if you go someplace once every couple of years, it's not like you can, jump into the language that easily, no matter what you do. You have to be really, 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 really working at it, or you have to dive in and be not speaking English, right?
Well, and I think the worst part for me too is Busan. I didn't know this, but apparently, if you think about English, Seoul or the rest of the country, they speak like we do, without so much of an accent. But think of Busan Korean as like Scottish English. Like, have you ever, someone speak
I
like
know
with a thick
exactly
Scottish
what you
accent?
mean. It's
It's
the
like they're
hardest
speaking
English
English, but
accent
you
to
have
understand.
yeah, so Busan people speak like the Scottish people speak of Korean. So even what Korean I did learn, I would go up to Seoul and try to use it, and they couldn't understand me. They would just be like, "What are you saying?" It was like broken Scottish or something. I don't know how else to describe it, but
No, I think that's
yeah.
a perfect way to describe it, because I've been in so many situations, especially over in Scotland, where I've had to say, like, I remember I was on tour. Here's another name drop, with Eliza Gilkison, and we're in Glasgow, and we're at a hotel, and we're checking in, and the concierge is trying to tell us, about the amenities, and he's speaking really, really fast. And I looked at her, and she just looked at me terrified, like I have no idea what he's saying. And so I turned to him and I said, I'm really, really sorry. I was like, I know that I'm the tourist here. I know that I'm the American. Could you just slow down just a little bit?
Yeah.
And I just said, could you just slow down a little bit? And that was not necessarily the right thing to say. And it didn't go over very well at all. It didn't go over well at all. Whereas other people have been really patient with me. My grandmother, my wife's grandmother, is Hazel McDonald, and she's 93. And when we're up in Canada, we live in her basement apartment of her house. She's been in Canada her entire life, like since she was in her late 20s, early 30s. She has not lost one iota of her accent. She does not speak like a Canadian. She speaks Glaswegian.
That's crazy.
She speaks Glaswegian, everything. And it
Wow.
never went away. I don't know, a little bit of a tangent, but I get your thing about how there's so many Englishes, and most of them we can get, but I guess maybe sometimes if you're in the bayou, English can be a little hard to understand too. If you get really, really deep into the bayou, it's kind of hard, to understand. But and it's funny too, because you might say, "Oh, we don't speak with much of an accent," but when I go talk in Canada, invariably I hear all about it.
I get that a lot. For me, I feel like sometimes my Texas comes out, but for the most part, people are like, "You don't sound like you're from Texas." And I grew up here, and I went, to school in a small little Texas town. So I don't know why I didn't get an accent, but I feel like I have a Texas accent. But yeah, most people say that they don't hear it. So
who knows?
I don't know.
Well, that's some great answers about stuff to miss in Korea and your time there. It's pretty cool. So we have a friend of the show who asks almost the exact same question every week, And it's one of my favorite questions. So I love it when Larry King is here. And Larry asks, he always asks whoever I have on, what's your favorite thing to play? And this is an interesting question too, because you're a multi-instrumentalist. In Madame Radar, you play bass, but you're a guitar player and you play other instruments and you sing and you write, et cetera, et cetera. So it doesn't have to be bass necessarily. It could be anything. But I love this question because I get so many great answers from this question of Larry's. What's the first thing that you play when you sit down and grab an instrument? And for some people, it's like, well, this is what I sound check with. And for some people, it's like, well, if I go to a music store and I want to try out a guitar, I play this to see if it works. And I always get these really, really varied answers. And some people, like writers, they're like, oh, I always play whatever I'm working on, you know? But when you pick up an instrument, whether it's for the first time that day or the first time like you got a new instrument and it's inspiring you, what's one of the first things that you play?
I mean, it has to just be acoustic guitar. It's easy. I can just pick it up and I can play it, you know, where I don't have an upright piano. I might play one more if I did, but the one that I do have in my house, you have to like go through the extra few seconds of plugging in an amp and turning it on. So yeah, just I love a good.
Like what songs? Like, okay, so if you pick up your acoustic guitar and you're playing it, first thing you play, you know, when you pick up an acoustic, or if you're about to start a song swap and you're tuning up and you want to just get the lay of the land on the instrument, do you play like a certain song that you love, or do you play something of yours, or do you have like little exercises, you know, like everybody has something different. It's really great.
Yeah. There's like a little finger picking tune that's in E, like a blues E finger picking tune it's so funny because I always play it, but I've never been good at playing it. It always sounds like shit every time I try to play it.
But you love playing it to like get into the guitar?
Yeah, like I know what it's supposed to sound like and it never sounds that good. And I'm like, oh, I always tell myself it's just because my fingers aren't warmed up, but really it's just because I'm not that very good at the guitar. And stuff like that.
Anyway. That's not true. That's not true. It's tough for all of us, I think, because especially in a town like Austin or any mecca of music, if we start comparing ourselves to the great guitar players that are around us, we're going to break our fingers. So the humility is there and I can appreciate it, but you know how to play guitar. You can play.
No, I
mean, you play guitar like great. You know,
any lead kind of stuff. I think that I've cursed myself to the point where it's like, you're not a good lead player. So every time I try to sit down and start to play lead, there's a mental block. It's like, you can't do this well. So why are you even trying? And then I just always fulfill the prophecy.
Well, if you ever want secrets of lead, the secrets of lead guitar are really, really easy. And I've had certain friends ask me and they've done it. And I've had certain friends ask me and they don't do it. And I know that anyone can do it. One of the first people that asked me about it was Ruthie Foster. And she was like, I really want to start playing lead. And I said, you have to sing everything you play. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, well, if you play, you know, just notes, it's going to sound like just notes. You have to sing the notes as you play them. And then you're going to phrase and you're going to sing more like a singer and you're going to pause and you're going to take breaths. And it's not just going to be note, 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 note. And if you go da, 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 while you play da, 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 it just sounds more musical. It sounds more like a lead. And it's like this.
I love that.
It's a jumping off point for anybody who plays, you know, I mean, especially if you can sing and especially if you can write. So I know you could play leads. Like, I know it deep down in my soul you could. If you spent some time on it.
I've just been blessed with having so many friends that are already doing it and doing it so well that I don't have to, you know, like my ex, Anthony Garcia, I don't know if you've heard about, he's a local, he plays around Austin. He's incredible.
Great player.
And, so we were in a band together. He was actually the person I went to Korea with. And we were there. And then now I've got Kelly Green.
Right.
But the other thing is when I do have free time, unless I have to sit down and I'm supposed to be learning something, I'm crocheting. And if I'm not crocheting, I'm, you know, cooking or doing something else. So it's like, but maybe I'll try that the next time I sit down with the guitar.
Yeah. And at the same time, you're absolutely right. And I don't mean to be pushy because for some people, it's like, I only have so much bandwidth and this is what I choose to spend my time on so that I can do some things other than music. And so I can have life to write about and not just my entire life is playing guitar. You know, there's a
Yeah.
balance in there somewhere. Like, I know you could do it if it was something you were interested in. I think a lot of people think that you need to, like, to be a good lead player, you need to learn a bunch of scales, and it has very little to do with that. You know,
Hmm.
scales are great, but it's just like grammar. It's like knowing more words doesn't mean you have more to say.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It doesn't work that way. All right, more on to some other stuff. But I love that. I love that your first thing that you play when you pick up a guitar is something that you don't think you're good at, and,
It's
and you've been
terrible.
playing it for years. It's just like the thing that
Yeah.
makes you comfortable, makes you just sit right in. You know.
Hmm.
Larry King says, I stopped playing for 45 years because I didn't think I was a good enough guitar player. Been back at it for 6 months. Hey man, I love hearing that. You know, this whole thing about never too late. I have a student who's a professor in Ohio who never did any music in his life. I have very few students, but he just dove in with both feet first, and it's kind of amazing where he's come, you know, because he just wanted to learn. He just attacked it and
Hmm.
never did anything musical, but was always a music lover. Larry, I think that's great. I think you should keep on playing. What does Ray Rhymes say here? I'm going to read this other one. But if you write a great song, even a simple chord progression is going to sound that much better. That's why you. Oh, thank you very much, Ray. Yeah,
Ray's so
I know.
sweet.
We joke about songs sometimes. It's like chord salad is what they'll say in the Resentments. Like if Bruce brings in a song and it's got a lot of changes, he'll be like, "Sorry, it's a bit of a chord salad." You
I
know.
love that.
Larry King says, "Great answer, Violet. Thank you." And I love that too.
Aw.
So, talking about a little bit what's going on. So one of the questions was, you know, what's going on and what's next for Madam Radar. We talked about how you have the album that you're working on right now, the next album that you're working at the finishing school with Gordy Quist. But I
Hmm.
think you mentioned, no, I know you mentioned you're going to do another Star Stock. Could you talk a little bit about Star
Yeah.
Stock? And that's coming up soon, right?
Yeah. So basically, we had our first star stock out on the property where I grew up a couple years ago. It's, you know, a nice, I grew up on a ranch in the middle of nowhere, about a couple hours north of here, and it's a beautiful plot of land. And I'm a country girl, and we went out there, and you know, Cody and Kelly are both, they both grew up in the mountains too, so they're all about camping and just being outside. And so we had a weekend out at the property, and we called it Star Stock because my mom's name is Star, and
Oh,
she was kind of hosting it, and you know, making sure that everybody was fed, and just she's really entertaining in her own way.
I just assumed, sorry to
And
interrupt, but I'm sorry to interrupt. It's always the Zoom or whatever
uh
thing. It makes me interrupt like crazy. I'm going to blame it on that. I assumed it was because it was a bunch of stars. It was Woodstock and you had like a
yeah,
bunch
right.
of stars, but it's Star Stuck because that's great. I love that.
Hmm.
Sorry,
But
go on.
that's why it works, because even though we're not having it out at that property again this year, it yeah, there's gonna be some stargazing. We're having it at Snake Prairie. I think it's in Smithville. It's like 40 minutes from Bastrop, but it's also in the middle of nowhere. It's beautiful. Kelly and I played a show there a few months ago, and we just saw the location, and the people that run the place are so cool. And we were just like, okay, we have to have a star stock here, and not in the middle of summer where everybody was dying the next
Yeah.
day because it was 95 degrees at 10 o'clock in the morning. So we're doing it on December 4th, and it's going to be, you know, where there's going to be s'mores and music and just hanging out. And we like to play a lot of games. The first Star Stock, we played a game
Such
called,
as,
have you ever heard of a game called Sardines or Blind Man's Bluff?
oh, now Blind Man's Bluff, we were just talking about last night.
What?
Literally, I was talking about it. Yeah, because I was writing a
The hide
song
and
with,
seek game?
yeah, we were writing a song with, I was writing a song with Pat Byrne and Gabriel Rhodes. And Gabe
Uh-huh.
said, yeah, when we were kids, we would play Blind Man's Bluff. And he was like, and it was a little bit, what's the word? Rough, because like brothers would really try and mess each other up and make people fall off of stuff. And it didn't have to be that way, but he was like, yeah,
Huh.
my brother was pretty rough on me with Blind Man's Bluff. But
Well,
anyway,
I wonder if we're
Sardines, Blind
thinking
Man's
of the
Bluff.
same. Well, I don't know if we're thinking of the same thing, but like, so Blind Man's Bluff is, or Sardines is basically like hide and go seek, but instead of one person going and finding, it's like everybody counts, one person goes and hides, and then everybody splits up, And as you find that person hiding, you have to hide with them. So sometimes if they're hiding in a really ridiculous spot, there will be like 10 of you wedged in, like trying to fit like all
Yeah.
together like sardines in a can until there's that one asshole left that hasn't found anybody yet. You're just walking around by yourself like, okay, I guess everybody else found the hider but me. And it's like the worst, but it's also the best game.
So the
And
bands play this with the people who come to the show?
we did this at the last Star Stock. We had people like in their 50s and 60s at 2:00 in the morning running around hiding under tractors and stuff. Like it was.
Oh, you're gonna have so many people want to come to this. The big kid factor. I mean, because you get like really, really good rock and roll, and you get really good songs, you get good bands. Everybody wants that, but you add some of this big kid factor to it.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of hit something.
Yeah. And there's something about it too that's really hilarious because you have to play it in the dark. That's the rules. There's no lights. So you're stuffed in like a corner under a bench, and you have no idea whose body part or what is in your face, and what's like you're just all scrunched up together like just this man, and like you're just all hiding in silence, and there's just everybody's breath, and that one asshole walking around being like, "Hello." It's the best game ever.
So how do you guys play Blind Man's Bluff? I'm just curious.
So yeah, you pick the hider, and then everybody else goes, and you count as a group out loud, like sometimes like 50 to 100.
What's the difference between that and sardines?
Then that is the same thing. We just call it the same thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, sardines, Blind Man's Bluff.
Gotcha.
Same thing to me.
Okay, sorry, I don't put it together. Okay, so you may see below me when I was on with Betty Sue, I was trying to vogue around this, but you may see right there. This is the link to madmaker.com. That's where you're gonna find the. Just strike a pose. Yeah. We're gonna. That's where you're gonna be able to find information about Star Stock, which is December 4th out at Snake Prairie Ranch. Hopefully, it's up there.
And also, a really great way too is just to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Our social, we keep on top of that at our socials. But yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm super looking forward to it, and hopefully, nobody gets like bit by a snake or poked by a chicken or something.
No, we all kind of have to watch out for that.
Free-range chickens.
We got to watch out for that anyway. The differences between Texas and Canada, it's like my wife moves down here and she's a horticulturalist, and her first day on the job, she tells one of the gals she's working with, she's like, "Oh, look at this cute little snake." And her friend is like, "Okay, we're going to back up right now. We're just going to go slowly back up." And she's like, "Why?" She's like, "Oh, that's a rattler, it's," and then the difference is like when we go on a walk up there, and my wife is like, "I really hope we see a bear today." And I'm like, "You hope we see a bear today? You hope we see a bear today?"
Why would you want that? Yeah.
Yeah, of course she wants that. And they are really I prefer seeing them on the other side of the river because they are like, I know they're vicious. I know they could be really, really vicious, but they are so freaking cute. Oh my God, they're just adorable animals,
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm kind of a sucker. Yeah, they kind of lumber along. They got the big belly. I don't know. Anyway,
that's how I feel about tornadoes. Like I think that they're beautiful, and I love seeing them far away. As long as they're far away, like I'm mesmerized. But I wouldn't want to be like up close to one.
Totally. Okay, so that's it. Oh, and I forgot again, you guys. I forget because I know I'm moving us over, but by giving us a couple of tips today, what I like to do is I split the tips with my guests. And lately, I've been giving all the tips to my guests because a lot of people aren't in anymore. So thank you very much. All I want to do is make sure that we get Violet, like, I don't know, a nice takeout meal or a half a tank of gas to the next gig.
$5.
Thank you. It really, really, really does help when you put something in there. So thank you all for that. I just want to put that in there. Shayna, there's another friend of the show. Man, if you guys don't know each other, Shayna's a great songwriter. And
nice.
she's kind of incorporated on her guitar stuff, like this kind of classical tremolo picking. But you'll hear it on like an arch top jazz guitar or something in the middle of her song. And I hope I'm explaining that right, Shayna. But big fan of you, and we'll have you on the show here one of these days, somewhere down the line.
Thanks for tuning in.
Exactly. Okay, let's see if we've gotten to all of these. We got into most of the questions. Now, one of my favorite questions to ask, and I'm going to ask it a little bit early. What is this? Thanks for the reminder. It's great. You guys should get tiplets. Oh, well, thank you, Ray. Thanks very, very much. My question is probably going to be an easy one for you, and it's not easy for most people, and
Okay.
it's an easy question for me. I love to know what people's guilty pleasure music is. I love to hear, because you see this, like, people see you. Look, when you go, Madame Radar always looks like a band, unlike a lot of Austin bands where we look on stage and everybody looks like they're going to the party, but they all look like they're going to a different party. Matt Radar always looks kind of badass and kind of like everybody's ready to perform a rock show, right? And
Really?
so, you guys have, uh, character and vibe and stuff like that. But I love hearing, you probably have some pretty varied taste in music. I get on, the whole thing started because somebody asked me something and I explained that I was a Fanilow, and that when I was a kid, my mom would play Barry Manilow, and she'd stick the record in between Stevie Wonder and classical music. And for all I knew, Barry Manilow was the best thing in the world. So I hear Can't Smile Without You and I get gooey. Or I hear Copacabana and I think about dancing on the bed and jumping up and down when I was 4. So I don't care. And I love to hear what some people, like, you get songwriters on here, like Matt the Electrician is a folkie, and he's such a huge fan of punk and like the Misfits, and he's a skater, and what he writes isn't necessarily what he listens to. And, some people come in and they're like, yeah, Tony Camel was on the other day and told me how much he really, really, really loved, the English kid from One Direction who's really fantastic, Harry Styles.
I was gonna say that I actually knew something, but I didn't say it, so you don't know if I actually knew that or not.
No,
I swear I was
I
gonna
know
say that.
now. Yeah, I believe you. But yeah, Tony's a big fan of Harry Styles, and I was like, yeah, same thing happened with us with Justin Timberlake. It was like, as soon as he came out on SNL, all of us musicians were like, well, shit, I'm gonna have to like him now because he's awesome. But there's fun stuff too. You might be into. What are you into that people you don't have to be embarrassed about? It could be just something that people don't expect that you're into.
Gosh, well, that's a hard question because I don't know what people would expect for me to be into, but
Well,
I guess.
my only point was that when you see a Madame Radar show, it's a rockin' show. You guys have a lot of stuff, but it all
Yeah.
sounds like it should be on the same album. It's well produced that way.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So how
Well,
about something that's
yeah.
outside of that world?
I'm a huge Disney music nerd. That's
Oh,
like, you want to get me like up and dancing, like put on some Lion King soundtrack or the Aristocats, or like I grew up just obsessed with Disney movies and music.
okay.
And I know almost
What's
every
your favorite?
That's have to be a tie between Oliver and Company
Uh-oh.
and either Jungle Book. I mean, it's hard to choose because there's just so many incredible music soundtracks. The Aristocats has an incredible soundtrack. I don't know. It's hard. It's really hard.
It seems like they really kept up that, as so many things went down. Like, how TV sitcoms used to have amazing songs, like the theme to the Golden Girls or the theme to Welcome Back, Kotter. Those were amazing songs, right? But with like kids movies and Disney movies, they kept that up. Like it's still really, really great. Like Jungle Book was Eliza Gilkison's dad. Terry Gilkison wrote Bare Necessities, and he wrote like All Day, All Night, Marianne, and Greenfields, and a bunch of other stuff. But
there's just so many, like, I can't even, when I think about like iconic moments where music has shaped my life, like there's this song that Dumbo's mom sings to him when she's reaching Baby of Mine, and then there's like Goofy movie where he's like, all I need is one more chance, a second thought, a second glance, and it's like you could tell that it was very Michael Jackson or perhaps Prince inspired.
Well, you could kind of see Michael when you did what you just did.
There's just all of, like, it's, I don't know, it's incredible what their discography of music and how different it all is.
I would like to hone in, if I could ask, and again, sorry for interrupting on this weird medium.
No.
What's the Dumbo song? Let's find the Dumbo song so we can share like the YouTube with people. It's a Dumbo song. You said it's.
Yeah, Baby of Mine, Dumbo.
Baby of Mine?
Uh,
Baby Mine?
yeah, I think so. Hold on, I don't
Let's
want
see
to,
if we're gonna
because
find.
there's an
Oh
Arcade Fire thing. I don't want that to be
no, you want the original.
Dumbo
Oh, of
Mom.
course, now I'm seeing
Baby.
an ad for something. Wait for it. Let's see if this is it.
No, it's. I'm gonna cry. I will cry. I will
That's it.
cry.
It's Baby Mine,
It's
huh? That's the
it's
one?
yeah, because they take Dumbo away from her, and she's reaching to him through the bars, and like it's the most
Oh,
beautiful song. And I will not. I can't like, but
I'm
just stuff like
sorry.
that. Like Disney moves my soul.
Yeah.
It really does. Like I love. So I'm a huge Disney nerd, and I guess other guilty pleasures would be Blink 182.
Yeah, there's a
Um,
good one. There's one that we might not
uh,
know. But there's definitely
I
some pop
love
and
Blink
some rock in
182.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, but when I go back and listen to like their first albums, I'm like, I really had a crush on a boy in school. There's no way I would go back and listen to this now.
Right, right,
um,
right. Well, it's funny too because people will ask me about certain writers, and whether it's like a Billie Eilish or it's a Lord or it's a Tay Tay, Taylor Swift, and they'll say, "Do you like it?" And I go, "It's incredible." And they'll say, "Do you listen to it?" It's like, well, yeah, but I'm not a 13-year-old girl, so those
yeah.
lyrics don't necessarily, hit me the same way. Do I think it's awesome? Production, music, everything,
hmm
lyrics, all of those people I just mentioned, so good, But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like, well, no, I don't listen to it, because that's
Yeah.
not the world I'm not being spoken to as much in the song. Maybe sometimes I am, but
hmm
I'm not the
hmm
target, But with Disney, it's kind of with all of the good and bad that people have said about Disney over the years, if you just take it face value, uh, the idea of trying to bring people in is pretty beautiful, and the stories are
And I
timeless.
Well, and I have a thing for musicals, being classically trained. Like there's just something about being able to, I mean, write like with spoken dialogue and take it and like put it as quickly, it's like rapping but not rapping.
Sure,
And you'll hear a lot of that on the
vocalese.
Halloween EP
We
too.
always wasn't it called patter? I think it's called patter when it's in a musical because they would put like the
Or an
little
opera,
extras.
it was
Recitative,
recitative.
recitative.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's cool. It's a really cool thing. Actually, Cody and I, our drummer and for Madame Madar, we got to go see a curtain dress rehearsal for Marriage of Figaro at the Long Theater,
Whoa.
and it was literally just us and then the crew in the crowd, and we got to watch that, and it was just so cool to see. Like Mozart was so edgy, man. Like I
Oh yeah.
forget how
That was the first opera
naughty he
I ever.
was.
That's the first opera I ever saw live. My freshman year in college, instead of going to spring break in like some party beach, I flew to New York to see a buddy of mine who was becoming an opera singer. And we
Oh,
went
that's so
to
cool.
the Met and we bought standing room only tickets for $7. And he said, "I'm going to teach you a trick." And I said, "What's that?" He's like, "We're going to wear the best suits we have and buy cheap tickets. And after the first act, a lot of rich people are going to leave." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because they have season tickets and they don't know what's good." And I said, "Okay." So we go in, we watch the first act from the back of Marriage of Figaro with Federico von Stade was singing the lead. And and we go outside in the break and we see this couple walking up and he's like, "If you see a couple leaving, ask for their stubs." I see this couple, and they just look like normal people, but they're modestly dressed. And I said, "Can we have your stubs?"
Uh-huh.
"Oh yeah, that's fine." We walk back in, they take us to the first mezzanine.
Wow.
We were like right off the stage for the next two acts. It was
That's
insane.
so cool. And I wonder if the couple thought y'all were like official, like you maybe worked for the theater or something because you
Or
were
we were,
well
I mean,
dressed.
if it was me, I would think we were going to scalp them or something. But it was just
Yeah.
sort of like this time back then when people could sort of, it was what's the word? Uh, 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 Youthful. It was just like trusting.
hmm
People trusted us. And so, and then afterwards we went back and he said, "We'll just go back to the stage door and see if we're allowed." And we got in, we met her, and
Wow, that's
nobody
so
can do that
cool.
stuff anymore. It was just, he just knew the tricks. But Marriage of Figaro was the first opera I ever saw live.
It's it's so good. And I have to I was telling Cody afterwards, I think what was really cool about it was I'm assuming at some point, because I've done, opera and music theater, like I've been a performer. I know how, like whoever's out in that audience, you're looking at them almost the whole time you're on the stage. And so I was telling him that crew, whoever they were, I'm pretty sure each of them at one point probably looked out and saw that one dork and Asian woman in the audience. And so they'll remember us somewhere in their memory for the rest of their lives.
You're right.
'Cause
You're
we
right.
loved
Isn't
together.
it strange how in those theaters we see so much more of the audience?
Yeah.
When we're playing our stages and when we're playing our clubs and when we're playing whatever, the audience is a little bit more masked for the vast majority of the show. But a theater like that, you can really see the faces.
And it's important too, because for me as a performer, even if one person is watching, that motivates me to perform to them. You know what I mean? So
You play to that
we
person.
got to be their first little test audience, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I want to thank Vincent and Jenny. If you happen to be watching, thank y'all for making that happen for us. So
That's really cool. That's really cool.
yeah.
Okay, well, we're slowly starting to wind up here. It's been a really, really great show already. I want to make sure I get a couple of things before we go off on the television channel. Thanks to Austin Music TV, as always, Sheila, for what you do and for playing all the videos, et cetera, et cetera. Thanks to AustinCityJams.com for having us every week. Make sure that I'm not going over time here. Things are going all right. And then, of course, I want to mention again, Madam Raider is going to be doing Star Stock on December 4th, and you're going to find out information there. The two places you can find are on Madam Raider's socials and stuff. They're very good about that. You can also go to this. I also want to make sure that I put it already in the chat. I'm going to put it in one more time because I really want everybody to get to your new record. Now it's on Spotify, it's on all the other things, your EP, but I want to make sure that they have a link so they can get it at Bandcamp. But it's everywhere. This is the Bandcamp link, but you can find this everywhere, Spotify, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and I would love to plug Hunter St. Marie. I've recorded, or he mixed the album for me out of his home studio. He's a part of Carrie Hudson project, and he was incredible. But for the most part, I did this all by myself because it was just something that I really wanted. It's just been a dream of mine to put out something for Halloween, only Halloween.
With Halloween.
And
yeah,
just maybe get my little foot in the door before Christmas comes in and just absorbs everything as it does every
This is
year.
exactly what it does. But the other thing is, you're set now every year. Every year you can come out and rock Halloween stuff, and you can add to it.
I'm going to keep adding to it too, yeah.
That's
and the thing is, I know that when I initially reached out to you, I was hoping to get this, like, to do this before Halloween.
Yeah.
And you were all booked up. And at first I was like, oh, that's a bummer. But then I was like, you know what? No, I will keep promoting this album all throughout November and December and January, because if I could have it my way, it'd be Halloween all year. So this is perfect.
Not to mention the fact that even through the chat, if we go through the chat, a lot of people were saying that they were really, really happy that we were talking about it and that you were bringing this stuff up. Before we leave then, I think we're probably off on, we're off on television, so we can do as many calls to action as you want right now. Go check out the album. Go check out Madam Raider. Go to the Bandcamp, buy this stuff, et cetera, et cetera. But I just wanted
Why don't they like calls to action, by the way? Can I ask you that real quick? Like, I've always wondered, why is that a thing?
It's because it's public. If it's public radio or it's public anything, then basically the FCC is like, well, you can't promote anything because you're getting public funds. So basically it would be like the government saying you should go to this church, or the government saying you should only buy Nikes, or the government saying whatever. So it's not so much that the station or anything like that. I think the FCC is trying to be not heavy-handed. But it's kind of weird because if I have a show and I want to promote somebody, and the difference is I go, you can find the link here, or I say, go to this link. Is it really that much different?
Yeah, it's silly.
It is, but it's the way things work, and
Yeah, well, something a little closer, if I can talk about now. We're playing
you can talk about anything you want.
Music on Main in downtown Round Rock tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Nice.
And then we're playing at Pootie's on November 19th, and that's always a really fun show. So that's some notable shows this month.
Also wanted to put up the link tree, and link trees, if you guys don't know, it's just a great way. Like, on mine, it's like, it's got your Patreon, it's got your Spotify, it's got this is where I'm doing gigs, it's got here's my website, and you can just find all those things in one place for Violet Lea. And then, so the very last thing I wanted you to ask, if you have time, could you just show and talk a little bit about the house that you made, the Halloween house? I'm going to make it big screen just because I'm a dork and I think you put a lot of work into it and I love it. So I'm going to make you big screen and you're just going to talk about it a little.
Yep. So Kelly and I made this one 2 years ago, but I usually make a Halloween house every year. It's all made from cardboard and map colors and hot glue. And this one survived COVID and last year. And you can watch it fall apart like on a live stream. But there's our little, that's our band. I'm figuring out inverse left and right now. But it's got lights inside and you can open the doors. And our cat has decided that she really likes to get inside of it too. And so sometimes she'll get right here and she'll just play. It's her new little toy. But it's
well, that's gonna make a good
cool
TikTok video though. You get the cat in there and you put some of your Halloween music behind it.
No, I'm so bad at TikTok. I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm trying to work on my TikTok game. I'm pretty awful as of right now, but we'll see. It makes me feel old, doesn't it? Make you feel? I kind of hate it.
Everything makes me feel old. Everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like looking at myself and all the salt and pepper is pretty much all salt now. It's just. But at the same time,
Yeah.
At the same time, I've earned it. And like
Fair.
I have earned it. And I'm just gonna go with it. But yes, the answer is yes. TikTok and everything else. I do love that TikTok is so cool for like unknown musicians, and that people can just get on there and jam and build a following. I think that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of it, there's baloney where people buy fans and there's baloney where people work algorithms, and that's going to happen in any medium. But I find a lot of funny people, and I find really, really funny people on TikTok. And I was a little embarrassed at first. My wife was like, "You're going to get on TikTok?" And I was like, maybe, maybe. But I mean, I've only started trying to make videos in like the last week. So I'm way late to the game. Mostly I just like
I'm going to have to find you on there.
Yeah, funny people and musicians and dogs and like animals. I'm such a sucker for like dumb animal stuff. Oh God, I'm a total sucker. I can't help it.
I think it started with America's Funniest Home Videos, and now we've just figured out a way to.
Everybody's a star doing that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You are a star, Violet. It was so nice getting to do this with you. Please stay on with me, and everybody.
Okay.
Please check her out. Check out the new EP.
Yeah.
Songs from the Pumpkin Patch.
Thanks for tuning in. And
yeah, and
they're good songs. I promise you'll like them.
And check them out. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we played in the intro today. So anybody who tuned in late, you can go back and listen to the intro and find Madame Radar and Violet's music and et cetera, and you can find all these links. So thank you so much for doing it.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next week with Jane Ellen Bryant, then Lisa Morales after that. Then I'm moving this all over to Patreon. So you're eventually going to have to follow my Patreon if you want to keep doing this. But we will still do it. We'll just move the time that it's on television. So it's going to be at 8 p.m. Thanks a bunch, Violet. And bye, everybody. Another great show. Bye.